What is going on, everyone? It is your boy Al, and first and foremost, before we even get into the video, we want to give thanks to the man up above for giving us the opportunity to be able to bring to you this video right here. So as all of you know, I want to say thank you to everyone who has shown us a shit ton of love, especially as it pertains to the Behind the Breeding series / podcast that I'm going to be doing both in person and virtual. I want to say thank you to all of you that have shown us love, and obviously if you've seen that video, me talking about the Ghost and Chanel breeding, the goal of that series is to really talk about iconic dogs, right? But to give newer breeders the opportunity to be able to develop their own understanding of the style of dog that they like, right? The bloodlines, why these dogs are paired up the way they were, and what was the mindset of these breeders. Because when we bring in higher iconic type of breeders, well, breeders that have been in the game a very long time, that have contributed a ton to the community, it's really amazing to hear the thought process behind it. And what better way to push the breed forward than to help out the newer people and really showing them, hey, listen, this is what it took to be able to get these dogs. You didn't just get it just pairing up anything. You get what I'm saying? But before I officially get into this topic, right, because of that video, I had the opportunity to collab with Alex with San Andreas Bullies. And in that live, which I posted, I want to say 2 weeks ago, there came a point in the conversation where we had the opportunity to discuss producers, all right? And this video is going to be following up with that topic of what truly is a producer. As all of you know, we talk about the term producer and we throw that around with multiple dogs, but the reality is, are they really producers or are they a tool? Okay, and what I wanted to do was, and I want to give this platform to all of you, I want you to put your favorite producers in the comments. Explain to me why you would consider them a producer and your definition of a producer, because I really feel like this is something we could really collaborate and expand and talk about with other breeders, not only with just Behind the Breeding, but this is something we could really discuss. And what I'm going to be doing in this video, okay, so now we're going to get into it. I'm going to be giving you, okay, my definition of a producer, the difference between a producer and a tool, just some examples off the top of my head of dogs that I feel are great producers. And I'm also going to give examples of bloodlines that are producing certain traits and certain looks. Please forgive me, I'm going off the top. I don't have notes, as you can tell with the GoPro camera right there. I don't have any notes in front of me, so I'm going off the top, all right? And what I want to do is I just want to give you my definition of a producer, because when you really start thinking about it in retrospect, right, when you start thinking of the term producer, well, how many offspring are elite? How many offspring were able to produce the look? When you got tighter on it, did the dogs get better? And when you think about it from that demographic, the percentage of dogs now, studs, producers, that gets very, very small. So with that being said, please don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel. Check off the bell notification icon to become part of the family. Now, after that long ass introduction, let's get into the video, baby. All right, everyone. So when talking about the term producer, first and foremost, we have to discuss the differences between a producer and a tool. When I think of a tool, I think of a dog that provides a certain trait. Okay, so whether it might be a dome piece, a good bone, or it could just be spread, or it could be a shit ton of mass, all right? That's what I consider a tool. Now, the difference is when we're talking about tools, right, and producers are dogs that you can literally build an entire program around, and I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, so when you're looking at the producer end, when I think of the term producer, right, in simplistic terms to all of you, a producer is a dog that's able to throw their look on their puppies, right? But the producer term gets much more intricate than just that. When we talk about producer, we are talking about dogs that throw the traits consistent with the breed consistently. So we're talking about dome piece, bone, decent chest drop, right? Decent bone, decent spread, compact back, and a beefy rear. All right, and that is at the core of a producer that's throwing the breed type, right? But it goes more than that. It's not just the traits. It goes into the conformation side. See, we got a bunch of dogs, studs that could throw traits, but can you throw the traits in the conformation? That is when the definition of producer starts getting small. When you really think about it in retrospect, right? And this is no knock on any dogs. You get what I'm saying? The goal of this video is to give other people, their studs, the platform to be able to showcase their productions, showcase what the traits that their studs were able to do, right? Because when you really think about it, how many dogs out there, and I said this before, can you say their sons can throw, their daughters can throw? When you get tighter on the blood, meaning you line breed or inbreed on those dogs, they get better and they stay healthy. And when you think about it from that definition, right, and we start talking about dogs, this is a producer, a dog that you can build an entire program around. And when you think about it through that lens, how many legit producers are there? And when we talk about producers, right, because I keep saying that, it's not just a dog that has a lineup of studs. Any stud can hit a home run or a grand slam every other breeding. Let's say a dog has 500 offspring, but they only have 15 to 25 amazing dogs that came off of them. Yes, they hit grand slams on those breedings, but would you consider that a producer? When you think about that, right, is that a producer or is that a tool? What did those other dogs look like that came from those breedings when using that stud? And as I said, when you think about it through that lens, now the term producer, it gets smaller when throwing that on some of these studs in the game right now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving you, in my opinion, dogs that I would consider to be great producers. So let's get into that. So when talking about dogs that you could build a complete program around, right? And I've said this before when we're talking about throwing the breed type, throwing the look, right? Throwing the conformation. When you get tighter, the dogs get better, and this is a dog you could build your whole program around, okay? And when you think about it through that perspective, there isn't many out there. And in my opinion, these two dogs, and these are just off the top, are great examples of what these dogs can throw, all right? Number one is going to be Grand Champion Waffle House. And as all of you know, I've spoken about Grand Champion Waffle House before. Grand Champion Waffle House is just a phenomenal dog, a dog that has produced amazing productions. Please, when you're talking about the champions, I want to say it's like 40 plus champions he's produced. I think it's well over 10 grand champions that he's produced. And this is a dog that when you see him, he has outproduced himself. Now, when we're talking about outproducing, that's a completely different topic, because that is a dog that is throwing better than what they are. And it's not only that way with great females, good females, it's also like that when you outsource it to completely uncorrelated blood. And when you think about it through that lens, Grand Champion Waffle House truly fits the description of a producer. Next, Grand Champion Samson. And you've heard me mention him before. He's my favorite dog. And I explained to you in great detail the importance of why I picked the female off of Samson, right? Because when you look at his track record, when we're talking about having the traits of the breed, first off, he's a wow factor dog. He's simply incredible, right? There's a reason why he's a 3-time national winner, and he's a grand champion. But when you start looking at his sons, you start looking at his daughters, the sons can throw, the females can throw. The tighter you get on the blood, the cleaner the dogs get, the more juice they get. It's just, I wish I couldn't explain how magnificent that is for a dog to be able to do that with his productions. You know, and as all of you know, if you watch my Behind the Breeding series, in that video, when I speak about Samson, as all of you know, with Dax being the core of that blood, the Gotti dogs weren't as known to be as clean as the Razor's Edge dogs. And that's to be nice, you know? So when you get tighter on it, the dog is truly producing the hell out of his look. And that is a dog that I would consider a great producer. All right, you guys. Now, listen, there's other dogs that are great out there that are truly incredible. But I want you to also understand and remember that we're also talking about the health factor now. We're talking about good hearts, we're talking about good genes, we're talking about things that are being passed down, healthy rears, etc. All right. As all of you know, there's some versions of Dax that when they've gotten tighter, you know, we've had some health issues, some breathing issues, right? And that's not just me making that accusation, that's just something that I'm mentioning that a lot of people have voiced their concerns about it before. That's why we have the controversies that we do in the community. But now that we have that term out there, right, now we're going to get into some programs that are throwing their consistent look. Now let's get into that. All right, you guys. So we're talking about some of these programs that are throwing very consistent traits with their program. As all of you know, when we're talking about extreme, right, I'm just going to give 2 examples, right, of camps that are producing their type of dog, their type of look. As all of you know, I've spoken about this with Alex from San Andreas Bullies, and this topic came about. And obviously, Muscle Tone Bullies is throwing phenomenal dogs. When we're talking about the definition of extreme. Bashar has done an absolutely amazing job with his dogs. When we think about Magoo, Mr. Bean, and you start thinking about Casablanca, and you think about Beanstalk, King Kong, Fuji, Nemesis, and these are just off the top, no chronological order. But when you think of muscle tone, you think of Crazy Extreme, Mass, dogs that are just, they defy the odds when it comes to genetics, especially when it comes to really pushing the extremities, right? Next up, we're going to be talking about another extreme camp, Folk Style Bullies. And as all of you know, Khan has done an amazing job producing simply incredible dogs. And Rocco Mania, Grand Champion Rocco Mania, Grand Champion Rocco, as you know, majority of the community knows him as, has thrown amazing dogs, sons that produce, daughters that have produced. The tighter they gotten on him, the craziest look that these dogs have gotten. They're simply incredible. The only reason why I don't have him in my list of producers, because remember my definition, when we're talking about getting tighter over the course of time, the dog's getting better. That blood, I should say, not him, for whatever reason, how the breeders have bred in the past, there's been certain genetic health issues that have came about that have, you know, that blood just has a little bit too much controversy the tighter it's gotten. So that's just why he is not on my list of producers. Next, we're going to be talking about camps that are throwing amazing dogs that I feel really fit the American Bully breed standard. Like I said, this is off the top, right? Triple Shot Bullies are doing an amazing job, right? And as all of you know, Triple Shot Bullies in Mexico, they're the ones who produced Hangman and Ragnar and that amazing litter, which, you know, obviously Grand Champion Blue, I've spoken about him. He is a dog that is going to eventually become, in my opinion, one of the dogs that's going to be known as a producer in the community, right? Hangman is producing his ass off as well. So they're on the trajectory of really hitting that ceiling when it comes to the term producer, right? And Triple Shot Bullies is just doing a phenomenal job, all right? And like I said, this is just off the top. Next, Warriors of Gods Bullies. Warriors of Gods Bullies are throwing amazing dogs. As all of you know, I've spoken about Samson as one of my producers, a dog that I would consider a producer. And Warriors of Gods Bullies has amazing dogs within the totality of their camp. It's just, man, it's incredible when you see the dogs that they've produced, right? Now, when we're going to be talking about XL lines, camps that have thrown consistent traits, their desired look with their camps. Sin City Bullies. Sin City Bullies has thrown amazing dogs. And obviously, you heard me speak about him before. Building with Destiny, a titanium tank daughter. And as all of you know, he's blessed the community with Trump, Bellagio, Boulder Station, dogs that are just have that bull in them. Next, we're going to be talking about big ballers. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, this is controversial. But there's one thing that is for certain that no one can ever deny, is that Big Ballers is throwing amazing dogs with crazy traits, right? And it's consistent with the vision of his program. Now, these are just some programs that are throwing their desired look. Let me know in the comments camps that are throwing your desired look, dogs that you really, really like. And like I said, the purpose of this video is to really shine light on programs and studs. Because as all of you know, first off, there's a ton of American Bullies in the community. And as all of you know, marketing is the biggest factor in showing what these dogs could do. Some dogs, for whatever reason, may not be marketed a certain way. Certain camps or amazing kennels that are producing amazing dogs maybe don't promote as much as these other camps. But I want you to put them in the comments to really give a general description to all of these amazing dogs. So we really want to be able to push the breed out there, and we also really want to put these dogs in a position where we use them. If they are great to the breed and they're throwing consistent traits, conformation, and health, these are dogs that you really, really want to get out there in the community. All right, you guys. So those are just some examples of programs. Now let's wrap up the video. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up the video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel. Check off the bell notification icon to become part of the family. And the purpose of this video is to really talk about the term producer. As all of you know, and I said this before, we often get the term producer thrown with dogs that are really tools. And the thing is when I think of the term producer, I think of dogs that you can really build a whole program around. It gets better from generation to generation, and you take it up a notch with each breeding. Okay, and that is my definition of a producer. Like I said, that number on productions, you want it to be a large percentage of these dogs are producing their desired traits and look on their offspring. You know, I said this earlier, but when we're talking about a dog that is producing, let's say they've been used multitude of times or multiple times. We're talking about, let's say they have over 500 offspring, but they have 15 to 25 amazing dogs. When you start putting that into perspective, right, you think about those dogs, but what about the rest of them? See, is that a producer? Is that a tool? And is that a dog that is hitting a grand slam every once in a while? When I think of the term producer, we're talking about dogs that are throwing it every breeding. It's not just with a badass female. It's not just with dogs that have similar blood, dogs that might be outsourced at some point, but we're talking about dogs that have no correlation to the blood and they're throwing their traits, which means that their genetics are overriding that female's bottom side of that pedigree and is overriding that female's genetics. That's when we're talking about the term producer, all right? And I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. And I will end with this. The reason why Dax is so iconic in the community, right, is because he was badass, but he is famous for the sons that he's thrown. And the sons throwing as well, and his daughters throwing as well. That is what I think of when I hear the name, well, the term producer. All right, you guys, I'm very intrigued to see what you all say in the comments. Have a blessed day. Once again, please don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.